Hello! Besides GlassFish Server, GlassFish comes also as a lighter embedded variant, which can be started from Java application. Since GlassFish 7.0.18, it can also be started from a command line with your application configuration added to it. You can go to the GlassFish website and download it from there, or you can download it as a Maven artifact. Starting GlassFish Embedded from command line is easy. Just run it as a plain Java application with a -jar JVM argument. It supports the help argument to give info on command line options. Running an app with it is straightforward. Just add path to your app as an argument. GlassFish Embedded will print info about your application and URL to access it after it starts up. If you want to configure GlassFish Embedded, you can do it easily on the command line, for example with a port argument. But more often, you'd like to configure it with a config file. GlassFish Embedded accepts the properties config file. You can specify a path to it on the command line, or just create a file called glassfish.properties in the working directory, and GlassFish will find it automatically. Let's create the file with the default file name glassfish properties. We can specify all command line options as properties, for example the port property here. The config file can also instruct GlassFish Embedded to deploy an application. The property needs to start with deploy and followed by a dot, and then followed by any name you give it to the application. And the value is passed to the application. This allows even deploying multiple apps, which GlassFish Embedded supports. You can just give them a different name. With all these in the default config file, we can launch GlassFish with no arguments. It will run our app on a custom HTTP port as before. We can even simplify the config. If we move the application to the auto-deploy directory inside the working directory, GlassFish Embedded will automatically deploy it. No need to instruct it via a property in the config file or on a command line. With this, we can even rename the application file or add new applications to deploy without changing the config file. We just drop the applications into the auto-deploy folder and run GlassFish Embedded. We can also specify any GlassFish AS admin command to run at start using the command line argument. Any argument that is not a file path and does not start with a hyphen is treated as an AS admin command. Note that the whole command, including parameters, must be a single argument to GlassFish Embedded, and thus must be enclosed in quotes if it contains parameters. To get you quickly started, you can execute the get* command to list all configuration properties, which you can set using the set command later. To instruct GlassFish to stop after it prints the properties, you should specify the --stop argument, and it's also safer to specify the --no port argument to disable the HTTP port. Now, with the set ASAdmin command as a command line argument, we can specify some more complicated properties, like the size of the HTTP thread pool. And again, we can move this config to the config file. To define a command to be executed, the property in the config file should start with commands followed by dot, followed by any name you want to use. It just needs to be unique. And the value is the command to execute, the same we used on the command line. And that's it for now. Feel free to try GlassFish Embedded as a lighter and simpler alternative to GlassFish Server, and let us know how you like it.